Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving deep into a universal human trait that, let's be honest, every single one of us has battled at some point. Yep, we're talking about laziness. But we aren't just going to chat about hitting the snooze button a few too many times. We're actually exploring two absolutely fascinating stories from our source material that show exactly how much procrastination can truly cost us. By the end of this, you might just find yourself totally rethinking your own daily habits.
To kick things off, let's ask a seriously ridiculous question. Could someone really be so incredibly lazy that they let their own beard go up in flames before finally taking action? I mean, it sounds like an impossible, cartoonish scenario, right? Well, the answer actually reveals a whole lot about human nature and the extreme limits of stubbornness. Section 1, The Absurdity of Extreme Laziness, a village tale of doing absolutely nothing. Okay, so our first source brings us this hilarious old folktale about a village man who takes doing absolutely nothing to a spectacular level. This guy is so stubbornly lazy that while he's resting outside, he flat out refuses to shift his body even an inch to get out of the glaring sun. He literally demands his wife bring freshly cooked food right to him in bed. And when the brutal summer heat dries up the local wells, no way is he walking to the distant pond. He just completely shrugs off his own basic survival.
And get this, he isn't even alone in this. He hangs out with a whole group of friends who basically treat laziness like an Olympic sport. They literally brag about their lazy life hacks. One friend argues you should never bother making your bed because, hey, you're just going to sleep in it again anyway, right? Another just eats straight out of the cooking pot so he doesn't have to wash any dishes. And another friend takes the absolute cake by deciding to stop bathing entirely, just to avoid the effort of fetching water. But our main guy? Oh, he absolutely refuses to be outdone by his buddies. He tops them all with this legendary, totally over-the-top boast. He proudly declares, "I will dig a well for water only when my beard catches fire." It's literally the ultimate statement of procrastination. He's saying he won't lift a single finger until a completely absurd, life-threatening emergency forces him to. And then, as these folktales always go, the universe decides to call his bluff. Suddenly, while all these lazy friends are just sitting around doing nothing, a highly predictable comedy of errors kicks off. The roof of the actual house they are sitting in catches fire. The heat starts rising, the flames are crackling, and you naturally think, okay, this is the exact moment human survival instincts finally kick in, right? Nope, completely wrong. Instead of panicking or, grabbing some water, these guys formulate the absolute worst emergency response plan in human history. Their brilliant strategy relies entirely on doing nothing. One suggests they just sit there and wait for the rain to put the fire out. Another hopes the wind will just magically blow the fire in the opposite direction. The only thing they all agree on, they will not get up and they will never, ever run away. They literally just lie there, trusting their laziness over their own lives. So the inevitable happens. The fire spreads right from the roof down into the room. And true to his own twisted, stubborn prophecy from earlier, the flames actually reach our main character, and the man's beard catches on fire. The exact ridiculous emergency he joked about becomes a burning, painful reality, simply because he completely refused to move a muscle. Now, it's super easy to laugh at a guy with a burning beard, but let's take a look in the mirror for a second. On one side, sure, we have the absurdity of waiting for rain during a literal house fire. But on the other side, we have something that hits a bit too close to home, our everyday laziness. Think about it. How often do we let the metaphorical fires in our lives burn out of control? Deadlines, relationships, personal goals, just because we're scrolling on a phone instead of actually doing the work? Section 2, Everyday Laziness, the Modern Distraction. This brings us perfectly to our second source, which tells the story of a boy named Rohan, who suffers from a very real, very modern problem. His entire life philosophy can basically be summed up by this one phrase, Udya Karin, which literally translates to, "I will do it tomorrow." Whenever his parents try to remind him about the value of hard work, Rohan just brushes them off. Tomorrow is always his handy excuse to just sleep in and mindlessly scroll on his phone today. But then, a massive opportunity pops up in his village, a huge drawing competition with a really great prize on the line. Rohan decides he wants that prize, so he enters his name. But here's the catch. Because he's so stuck in that Udya Karin mindset, he completely fails to practice. He just casually assumes he'll figure it all out when the big day arrives. And this right here brilliantly illustrates the direct cost of our daily choices. While Rohan was busy scrolling and sleeping all day, his friend Amol was out there practicing hard every single day. So the results of the competition? Exactly what you'd expect.
A mole's daily dedication evilly wins him first prize, while Rohan is left standing there staring blankly at an incomplete drawing.
Section 3, the price of inaction, facing the consequences.
Both of these narratives bring us to a really harsh reality check. Doing nothing always demands a heavy toll. In the folktale, the consequence was nearly burning to death and losing a beard. In Rohan's reality, the consequence was brutal public humiliation, standing up there in front of all his peers with a half-finished drawing while the crowd literally laughed at his failure. Whether the burn is physical or emotional, extreme laziness ultimately sets you up for some serious, painful regret. Section 4, the turnaround and takeaway. Action is the only antidote. Fortunately, both of these stories do offer a way out. Though in the folktale, the lazy friends don't actually save themselves. The hardworking, proactive villagers have to rush in, draw the water, and put the fire out for them. The lazy guys are forced to realize that without the massive effort of their community, their stubborn laziness would have literally been fatal. Rohan's turnaround, on the other hand, is a lot more personal. He starts off totally ignoring his parents and dealing with that awful public humiliation. But the very next day, he steps up and takes personal responsibility. He actually apologizes to his mother and completely overhauls his habits. Fast forward a few months of giving up his lazy ways and putting in consistent daily effort, he actually becomes one of the smartest, most successful kids in his class. He proves that the damage of laziness is totally reversible if you just commit to doing the work. By analyzing both of these stories together, we can see a really clear, unified message. First, laziness absolutely destroys your potential, whether it's an unpainted canvas or an undug well. Second, hard work is the only reliable path to success. Wishing for rain is definitely not going to put out the fire. And most importantly, please do not wait for a major crisis to finally push you to take action.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a really profound moral taken directly from Rohan's story. Laziness is the biggest enemy of success. It's simple, it's direct, and as both of our sources have clearly shown today, it is undeniably true.
So as we close things out, I want you to ask yourself honestly right now, what truly important tasks are you putting off with the excuse of, I'll do it tomorrow? What opportunities are you ignoring while you just scroll on your phone? Are you putting in the work today to build your future, or are you just waiting for your beard to catch fire before you finally take action? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.